Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, do you aspire to be an entrepreneur? To build your own business? To leave a legacy behind? If you want to know how to get started, or if you're already on your journey and want some help on how to tackle the challenges you're facing, this show is for you. Here at Be Your Own Boss, we hear from entrepreneurs about their stories, some very practical tips, and some inspiration. It's time to get started.
That 1 minute changed my life. I've trained in Pan India in Fortune 500 companies like Siemens, SISL, Siemens Information Systems Limited, Bank of America, CRISIL, um, banks, different kinds of Central Bank of India, South Indian Bank of India, State Bank, and then number of companies, ICI, Tafe.
Welcome to another episode of Be Your Own Boss. Our guest this week is Geetha Krishnan, the founder of Gratitude Leadership. It's a training and coaching consultancy. Geetha is an international speaker. She's also the co-author of two international bestsellers, Courage Under Siege and Journey to the Stage. Geetha is also an international behavior trainer and a leadership coach, certified by Tony Robbins. And Geetha is also a creator and the host of the Gratitude Radio live show. Geetha, thank you so much for taking our time and joining us here on the Be Your Own Boss podcast. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Sachin. It's such an honor to be with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Geetha, let's start with your journey with right from the childhood. I know you were born and raised in Mumbai, which is very close to my heart, my hometown. So,
Okay.
yeah. So very, very happy, to talk to another Mumbaikar here on the show. So Geetha, tell us about your childhood, growing up. What was the environment like? Tell us about your siblings and your aspirations as a child.
Surely, Sachin. When we were growing up, I grew up in Matuga. My schooling was SIES, and it was a typical Tamil, Agraharam kind of an atmosphere where we used to go to the temple and practically every day. And so the value systems that were built in us was something that has brought me to where I am today. I owe a lot to my grandmother, my grandfather, and most importantly, my mom. So my mom raised us up all alone when my father passed on, and me and my sister, my younger sister, she was 4 years younger to me, and the stability that my mother gave us was and will always be a treasure to both of us. So going forward, that really helped us to understand the importance of the closeness that you have as a family, and that instilled in me to be there for my family, no matter what. So fast forwarding to 20 years or 30 years, from school years, so when I got married and I had my own child, uh, my son and my family were the priority. So there's a lot of story revolving around and around, which we'll come back later. But I wanted to tie that bit there because that's what I saw and learned growing up in my childhood, and how much importance we need to give to our family just by watching my
Yeah.
family around me.
Yeah, and the culture, and I mean, I'm sure, like growing up, you woke up to the sound of MS Subbalakshmi playing Suprabhadam and the smell of filter coffee at home,
Oh
right?
yes. The quintessential, the Tamilian household, and
Yes.
with my grandma or my mother putting the rangoli kolam outside our door,
Yeah, the
and then
Rangoli.
they're visiting the fragrance of coffee and the masala dosas and the idlis.
Yeah,
Typically, the family, South Indian family, that's how we were brought up. And being in Matunga, the temples were very close to us. Just walk. So I remember my grandfather used to carry the small container of milk to the Shiva temple, and then we followed on his footsteps. So every morning, either me or my sister used to take the small tamba, the
yeah,
container puja of that's what they call in Tamil, to the temple and pay obeisance to God and come back. So that's how somehow the gratitude leadership is what my work is all about. So the gratitude that we built from that time, the value systems that we built from that time, is what helped me uh, learn so much more.
mm,
So you're absolutely
yeah.
right. Yes.
Yeah, and those values that you're, like through all this culture, through these small things, which looks very, day to day routine, right? Looks like those practices inculcated the values that you hold for life, and the way you look at leadership, it has formed, it has shaped, right? Yeah,
Absolutely, absolutely.
yeah,
Every small bit. I would love to share a story here. So the
yes,
first lessons, management lessons, we learned is from home. So my grandmother used to cook amazing food, obviously, right? So that's how it's filtered onto us. And my uncle and they used to take care of all the provisions and everything. So what they used to do was they used to remove certain amount of sugar or dal or rice and put it in smaller containers and put it way back behind. Uh, the in the containers. So they used to hide some of it the back, and they used to fill the other front containers the first of the month, right? When you get all the provisions in,
yeah,
and then my grandma used to by around say the 25th or so, the ration is all done and you need to order for more procure more your stuff, food
yeah,
stuff. And she used to ask for, oh no, we have to order food. And then magically things used to come back from behind. So my uncle used to remove it from behind and, ta-da! So there's always something there. So it's
yeah,
basically the budgeting and basically the saving. So how these are the basic lessons that we learned at home. So when you
yeah,
transition to work life and corporate life, when you're actually doing your budgeting and you're actually doing your structuring your balance sheets,
yeah.
uh, these things come in handy. This is how we grew up. So much of management lessons that you learn uh,
Mm,
right at home. So charity begins at home, your business begins at home, right?
yeah,
That's something that I've
absolutely.
learned growing up.
Yeah, yeah. I heard somewhere that the corporate people, if you want to complete your MBA, it shouldn't be completed without spending some time with a housewife that is managing, like getting ready for a wedding, right? People,
Oh
like if there is a
yes,
wedding in the family, the way the housewife you learn all corporate lessons right there, all management lessons there, because
absolutely.
she is running the family and running a project there, right? She's
Absolutely, absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Today it's all color coding, and you create your, the PPTs and presentations and Excel sheets. But then they did magic back then.
yeah, yeah. But the core values are those core values that we learn, and it just kind of translates into the practical corporate life and day-to-day life. Like just now when we were before starting this recording, we were talking
Yeah.
about, like, the video, is it working, not working, and like we had a plan B. already in place.
Right. Absolutely.
That's that addition. The Russian that your uncle saved on the side. This was
Yeah.
our Russian on the side, right?
Tell me about it.
Wow. So that's a culturally rich childhood. And how did your academics grow? So after school, what did you get into? What kind of stream did
Okay.
you go into?
Uh, right. So I was always a good student, growing up, though not very outspoken, or I used to participate in all the events, competitions, dance. I had learned Bharatanatyam, I've learned Carnatic music, typically like a South Indian family, you're ingrained into the musical culture. So I've learned all those, and then I've also been very good performer at school debates and everything. So, well, coming out of that, I joined commerce. I joined NM College in Parla, Villaparle West, and finished my graduation. And I went on to take up a job uh, in the accounts as an accounts professional. As I kept doing that, somehow I started feeling that that's not me. It was not something that there was no calling, there was nothing that was telling me that this is something that you need to do. Like I was actually feeling claustrophobic, uh, sitting in a cubicle around books. And the place I was working, they had these huge wall kind of cubicle, and I just couldn't sit there anymore. So I decided that that's not me, and I moved out of it. Um, I somehow started taking computers and lessons, and then I found my um, passion. I mean, not passion. I started liking teaching, so I was teaching for a little bit in computers, and then while I was doing that, I came out. Even in college, it was really good. I was doing pretty well. Then when I came out of that, I got married. So once I got married, it was like I didn't follow through with the career, because I had my in-laws to take care of, and we moved we moved abroad. So me and my husband, we were in the UK for almost a year and a half. So in the UK, I did take up work. I was working as an accounts professional, continued to work there, but that was not something that I really wanted to do. Then I came back. So that was my first break, after my work. And then there was this break. I took care of my in laws, and then I had my child. So I didn't want to get back to work because I wanted to take care of my child. So while I was taking care of him, I really felt that I should do something more than that. And the first thing, I told you something right at the start, and I'll connect the dots over here.
Yeah.
Was the family was priority, and something that really gave me the thought, or rather started got me thinking, was as a mother, how can I be a better mother? So that became my complete passion. uh,
Mm.
Grew, how can I be a better mother? What can I do to be a better mother? And that led me to take up my master's in psychology. So I wanted to be a better mother. So I took up wanting to understand my child better. So I decided to do a master's in psychology. As I was doing
Wow.
that parallelly, yeah, parallelly with my 3-year-old, 2.5-year-old toddler, I was learning, I was studying, taking care of my home, and also taking care of him. And my husband was working full time, so he had to travel to Airoli from Goregaon, so he was practically out the whole day, morning to night. So only during exams, maybe he would help me, take care of the baby, or my mother used to come over during the exam. So otherwise, it was just me and my son and my books. That's how somehow I don't know how I managed that. Don't ask me now. I just did that. And psychology is very strenuous because you have practical lessons too. It's like you need to lot of things to do that. So I had to really wing a lot of things at that point of time. But with God's grace and my family's support, I could do that. But the thing is, while I was doing my master's, I found out about learning and development. I found out about training and development as a profession, and I knew that was me because I love to help people. I love to interact with people, and that's my milieu. That's my calling. And
Yeah, you found your calling in training and
absolutely, absolutely.
yeah.
So that was the turning point, and I identified what I wanted to do. I had the opportunity to. I found an opportunity to teach, rather conduct programs, workshops with a small children's group, and through them, it so happened that I got an opportunity to attend Anthony Robbins's program, and at the Anthony Robbins' program, while I was attending, it was a digital seminar, and while I was attending I did the neuroassociative conditioning, the certification at that point was available for us. And
Sorry,
while I was doing that,
what was the sorry, Geeta, what was the
neuroassociative
program?
conditioning, neuroassociative conditioning.
Neuroassociative conditioning. Okay.
So while I was doing that, there is this point where they asked us to speak impromptu for a minute, and I was chosen, or I was asked to come up on the dais. I went up on the dais, and I'm standing in front of the crowd. It was just a minute. They said, just speak. And I don't know what I spoke. It was just for a minute, and I spoke something about smiling. Believe
Hmm.
me, Sachin, it was just a minute, and I had the whole crowd standing up, giving me a standing ovation.
Wow.
I had people holding me in, literally, there were these, the whole crowd was of trainers and spokespersons and people from the HR field and everybody, over a thousand people. And they literally gave me, and there was this lady, she gave me and gave me a big hug, and they literally lifted me up and took me down. I was like, wow. So I that was the real turning point, and I never looked back after that. So that really took me places. It really helped me to build that confidence that actually I belong to the stage, and
Hmm.
that 1 minute changed my life for the better. And that's then I continued to be a learning and development professional. I joined uh, as a full-time trainer with an organization, and then worked with them for some time, and then I moved out and started off my own consultancy. I've trained in pan India, in Fortune 500 companies like SISL, Siemens Information Systems Limited, Bank of America, CRISIL, um, banks, different kinds, Central Bank of India, South Indian Bank of India, State Bank, and then number of companies, ICI, um, Tafe.
So
Yeah,
these are the clients that you served as, I mean, as a corporate trainer. You went and
yeah.
trained and
Mhm.
coached um, as a consultant, right? This was like your own.
Yes,
But
yes,
when you transitioned, when you had a job, right, and as a trainer, and then you quit that job and you started on your own, right? Um, let's talk about that transition a little bit here. There is, that's a big shift, right?
yeah,
Because this shift is something that people struggle with the most. Aspiring entrepreneurs have find it challenging to jump off that running train because it's a job. You get a salary every month, and you run your family with that salary. And the faster the train goes, the difficult it is to jump off that running train. Looks like you did that transition. So how how long were you like planning that you want to quit this job and start? How did that process go?
I didn't plan per se because I always knew that I wanted to work by myself. The job I took it up only for the reason that will give me a holding, rather it will give me some kind of an understanding of the corporate world or how things function because I had a long gap. So it was for me to transition from a homemaker to a professional. So that really helped me to transition smoothly. And so, to be very honest, it was not a very difficult transition for me because in my mind, I always wanted to do that. So it was something that, such an I feel that it's all in our mindset.
Yeah,
you know so as you rightly said, yes, the salary part does, it's always a difficult thing for you to let go. What, will I get that much amount, or maybe less or maybe more, you never know. But uh, your family support definitely makes a lot of difference because they said, okay, you do what you want, whatever you enjoy, whatever you like to do, I'm there to support you. So that I had that kind of support from my husband, and I'm grateful for that. Um, and also, the other thing was when I was working with full time, I had the benefits of being a consultant in the sense that I didn't have to go to office every day. I could work from home in the sense that creating content and stuff like that. And whenever I had to do the workshops, I had to go to the client sites, offices. So I had that kind of a flexibility even when I was working full time. So that also helped me to, uh, to transition easily because
mm,
even if I'm transitioning as a consultant, only the benefit was that I could consult. I was consulting with them also, with the people who I was working full time, and with more other companies. So that really opened up my vista. It was like I'm not, what do you say, uh, bound to something.
yeah,
At the same time, I have that kind of a freedom. A freedom to do the kind of work that you want to do. B, the first priority that I said, my family, I could devote time to my family. Because now, because I'm not a full time employee, I could choose the days that I wanted to work. So it was like, say, 15 to 20 days a month if I want to work. The other days I could give some time to my family. And my child was still growing up, so he was still small, right? He was just in third, fourth grade. So that really helped me to understand, uh, or time manage myself and give the good amount of time that is required. See, I look at it this way that if we have a family, we have given birth to a child, it's important that we give our time also to the child because it is our responsibility as a parent to be a responsible parent. You know?
yeah,
And tomorrow, if you say that your child did not do the right things in the right way, then the, it's always that the three fingers, when you point somebody a finger, the three fingers are pointing towards you, right?
yeah, yeah.
So
So we
that
as
is something
parents
that,
have that responsibility to towards the child
exactly,
as well. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
So either ways, that really helped me to transition. So honestly, I wouldn't say that I had difficulties in transitioning. So this is what I want to share with your audience: is when you decide on something, just believe in that decision.
mm,
Because what happens is, if we keep wavering, if we keep thinking too much, that overthinking kills the whole process.
yeah. So when you transitioned to and opened up, really, I mean, it was not more of, it was less of a transition, but rather more of a freedom, right? Now you
Yes.
became a consultant where you could
Yeah.
you could serve other clients, and it did open up quite a bit, right? Like you named the big
Absolutely.
brands that you worked
Yeah.
with.
Mhm.
And did you set up a team, or was it all by yourself that you could go and serve
Uh,
the clients?
I could serve by myself, so I didn't require to set up a team at that point. Um, and then I think I worked for 3 or 4 years down the line, and then I had to move to the US.
Hmm.
So maybe a couple of years down the line, I would have set up a team, you know, which would have transitioned that way. But at that point, I didn't require to set up a team because 90% of my clients wanted me, even if I would recommend or suggest somebody different, they wouldn't agree. So, so
Yeah, yes.
yeah, because you
it's
kind of
it's
build that kind of
your
a
time,
trust.
that's the, yeah, the, I mean,
Exactly.
in this line of, like, let's say, if you want to call it like the business as such, right? The
Mm,
commodity is your expertise and your time, that it's
exactly.
you're,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Got it.
So it takes some time for your clients to trust somebody else apart from that. So even if you do a program for them and they really like you, then they would want you to come and do the program again. So
Yeah.
that's how the kind of relationship that you build. So yeah. So and I also had the opportunity to teach in colleges. I was teaching in management colleges as well. And I was also counseling as a counseling psychologist. I was counseling students to clients as well to vagaries of right from 5 years
Right.
to 8 year olds. So there was a lot of things on my plate. It was fun because I loved every moment of it. I've taught in ICFAI. At one point I would share that I was teaching in colleges as well. So early morning I used to have my lectures um, somewhere around 6:30 in the morning, and I remember I had programs for Central Bank of India, which I was doing for them. So it was a 4-day program. So morning I finished my lectures, and then I went for the workshop through the day until 6:30, and then after that I went to teach in the ICFAI college. So by the time I was home, it was like 9:30, 10, and I did that continuously for a week, and then my voice was like uh, and it was getting
Yeah.
really worse because I was speaking all day. But it was so much fun because I loved every moment of it. It was like even today I still love. But what I'm saying is, even
Mm.
that was never a strain for me, and it was easily manageable because I really enjoyed it. Every moment of it, I really
Mm.
enjoyed it. And at some point, if I did have a team to fall back on, so if I had any issues, I would transfer it. It was not like they would understand. So it was. I didn't have an HR. I mean, uh, a role per person on my payroll, but then I had
Mm.
consultants whom I could fall back on if there is any requirement. Yeah. So that was not a big thing. Yeah.
Got it, got it. And what about the formalities of this? So if someone, since you're based in Mumbai, in India, so let's talk about, like, the state laws or the country's laws, right? Did you have to register as a company somewhere, or was it just you could directly
Uh,
take up consultancy?
Yeah, as a consultant, you don't have to register a company. You can function by yourself under your name. You can have your bank account, and it is more like say in college we are as visiting faculty, or as a trainer. So
Hmm.
right now there is no professional body like say for CFA or CA or CS. There's no professional body. You can as a trainer as long as you're qualified and you are good. um, you can become a trainer. So that's no governing body per se. But yes, there are qualifications that you can take. As a trainer, there are certifications. There are processes that you can follow. You can again train the trainer programs. There are various other trainings. Like I have attended slews of trainings. I keep training myself on different parameters. I'm a certified creative movement therapist, a dance therapist. I also do music therapy. I'm still learning music. I've learned Carnatic music. I'm learning Hindustani music, the Shastriya Sangeet. I've given
Yeah.
exams too. So I incorporate that in my workshops. I use music therapy, I use dance therapy, creative movement therapy. Apart from that, I'm a trained yoga practitioner and a teacher. So I teach yoga, I incorporate yoga and meditations in my workshops. I have certifications in theme centered interactions, TCI from Tata Institute of Social Sciences and Elizabeth Meischer in Germany. So that is again leadership trainings, which I have attended. Apart from that, I'm certified from University of California, University of Central Florida. I've done my business analysis. So a certificate in business analysis. So I've also certified myself as an international speaker in the US.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back after this short break. You're listening to the Be Your Own Boss podcast. By the way, if you find this podcast useful, please share it with your friends and family so that someone somewhere having the potential and the dream to start a business can get some help and some inspiration from this. And if you'd like to support me so that I can bring in more content, please subscribe to the show wherever you're listening to right now. And you can also send me your feedback on byob@sachinacharya.com. That's byob@sachinacharya.com. And now, back to the show. And you
So
also done French literature in diploma
yeah,
in
Alliance Française. Yeah,
yes, yeah,
I've
wow,
appeared. Yeah, I've done I have done up to B1 level. Yeah. So I'm very fond of writing and content. So like I've written books. I've also done content writing workshops and attended certifications in content writing, content creation. I've been like since I've been doing the radio show. So I was also working as a producer with Voice of America. I was the executive producer with one of uh, the people who owned the channel on Voice America. So Ken Roshan's amplified radio show. So I was taking care of his whole setup, the back end and what goes into the writing and every aspects of it. So I was taking care of the whole digital setup at that point. So it's basically everything is a learning curve. You like to learn. I've attended number of conferences in training and development. So that gave me another. So as a team, I was a member of ATD Association of Training and Development, Association of Talent Development. That's what it's called now. So it's ASTD, and they have these conferences in the US. So every 6 months. So we attended the conferences in Orlando and Atlanta. So we were part of the committee to help them do it better. So it's
so
there are over
yeah,
10,000 plus people attending it.
yeah. So it
Yeah,
looks like you're, as in training other people, developing other people, and training yourself and developing yourself is like your passion, right? You keep working on
yeah,
that, developing yourself and
absolutely.
training.
Absolutely, because the more you learn, uh, the more you will be able to partake with others, the more you'll be able to share with others. And you get better as you teach, and you get better in teaching as you learn. So it's the
Yeah,
whole circle which revolves. So as a counseling psychologist, I hold a certificate in counseling and also in rational emotion behavior therapy, which I've learned. So all these things teach you and help you to be a better um, coach, be a better person, to help, uh, because it's a helping professional. So helping profession, and how can you do it better other if you're not learning yourself,
Yeah,
so
yeah. And while you're coaching, while you're teaching others, do you sometimes feel like even that is a great learning process for yourself? Because like, there was this principal who would like walk by the class and would say that, you know, that's the best student in the class, and then walk to the next class and say that's the best student in the class. And then people ask like, how can you spot the best student in the class by just looking at it one glance? And he would say, I'm pointing at the teacher is the best student in the class. That was his point, that, you know,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
teacher
absolutely.
learns, right? How has
Teacher
your
learns all
experience
the time.
been in this? Yeah.
Yeah, I still teach in colleges, and even the corporate arena is a learning platform for me as well. Because how, whatever the age you may be, you learn from the smallest of kids. So when I go walk down there, these kids, they come and then I just high five them and they say, "Hey, bro." So they're so happy. It's like, "Oh, you're the first person who tells us that, hey, bro," because that's how you connect with them, and they love and they come over and they chat.
Yeah.
So even in college, I used to sit with the students, and I remember there was this professor who walked right up on the dais, and she started teaching, and students were students started looking at them. Ma'am is still here, and ma'am is still here. I mean, the class is not over yet. So the the faculty who was on the dais, she started looking. Where is your what? Which she was flummoxed. She didn't know. So I was among the students, and I looked just like a student, and she didn't even realize that I was the faculty. And then obviously, as visiting faculties, you don't meet each other so much. So I went up on the dais. I said, I consider myself as a student, so I don't, you know, put myself on a pedestal or something. So I was interacting with them, and I sit with them, and that's what they love the most. So even during vivas, it's always been activities. I did a viva with an activity, literally playing games, and that was the best viva. There were students from other classes who were coming over to my class to get that viva done, or they wanted the experience of it.
So you were able to connect with the students at their level and be among them, be one of them, right? And that's
Yeah.
wow, that's a
I
sign of a
still,
great teacher.
yeah,
No
thank you
wonder you
so much.
got the great teacher award.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, so yeah, you would want to see that. You can have a look at it.
Yes, please.
That's
Yes.
that's my award. The Outstanding Teacher of the Year award of 2019.
Outstanding teacher of the year. Great, great.
So
Congrats.
thank you so much. Yeah, so even today, as I was saying, I had the interaction with my students, and it was a fun interaction. I made them do role play, and we were all laughing, and it was a
Yeah.
riot. So the best way to teach from for me is having interactions. Uh, it's I try to avoid one-way dialogues. Even if it's a classroom setup, um, it's a lecture mode, I try to avoid that. I'm always a facilitator. Let it be
Mm.
a stage, or let it be talk or interaction, or even if I'm speaking on the stage, I try to keep it as interactive as possible, because that's when you learn, you share, and you connect with the audience, you understand the audience better, and they learn better.
Yeah. And the retention is a lot more because they are
Yeah,
involved in the training, in that
exactly,
process with you.
exactly. Yeah,
Great. You know, Geeta, when you look back like now as a trainer, as a coach, as a leader, you know, the kind of life, the life of passion that you're living versus the that you remember the cluster when you were working after your this one. How different is this life? Like, what's this?
Well, you can see that for yourself. You can see
Yeah,
that for yourself. So the moment I talk about my platform or my talks, you're aware about the gratitude radio show also that I have.
yeah,
So everything. So gratitude leadership is again a concept that I built is how we can be more grateful and how we can use gratitude to harness more and better things in our lives. So I also do team building workshops based on gratitude leadership concepts, connecting with your teams better, appreciating your teams better, and creating a gratitude leadership culture in the organization. So right from the top to the ground level. So that is a program that I do specifically. That's my flagship program. So all these things that I have built around is because of the passion that I have for training or for the work that I do. And you can see that because even if
yeah,
you make me sit in a box, I wouldn't be smiling or I wouldn't be
yeah,
as cheerful as I look right now because when I'm talking about the different arenas of work uh,
yeah.
that has made me who I am today.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, Geeta, at this point, let's take a look at the especially the aspiring women entrepreneurs. Right, I really want to stress on this because the statistics are concerning to me, at least,
Mm.
and a lot of others. That when if we look at women contribute to, if you look at the world
Mm.
population, 49.5% or 49.8% or something is are women, but then we do not have enough women leaders. So and to we do not have enough women entrepreneurs, right? And we need to turn this around. And can I do it alone? No, I cannot. I mean, so there is it's us all as a community. We need to create this awareness and create help women take that first step. So if you consider, the women who are working in different places, or even not working, homemakers, right, what
Mm.
would be your advice to them on how to take that first step towards being their own boss, being an entrepreneur?
Thank you for asking that question, Sachin, because it's so pertinent and it is so important. Because these days, let me go on a little flashback, or 3,000, 4,000 years back. Okay, that's a little flashback when women in our country used to be revered. So
Yes.
in the sense that Bharat Mata, it's not Bharat Pita, it's Bharat Mata. So that itself tells us so much about our culture and how much respect and how much reverence we've had for women in our lives. But unfortunately, we've lost our identity. We've become more of a patriarchal kind of uh, country, or that's how it's been for a
Mhm.
really long time. And even now, it's still there. I wouldn't say that it's gone for good. It's still there. But then, as women, we need to support women. But many a times, if you observe, the mother-in-law is the first person to uh, not give that push to the daughter-in-law. This is something which may not be true for every household, but most households. Even if you go to the rural uh, or even the urban population, it's always that the the bahu has to you know cook the food and get it on the plate
Yeah.
when both the boy and the girl are working at the same time. So my point being, let us, even as women, let us support each other.
Mm.
Let us climb up and let us step up, let us step forward to be there. If somebody wants to grow, support them. as opposed to, you know what, that's not your cup of tea, or that's not something that you should be doing. You should be doing this. Why don't you just sit down and just do this? So the moment we would start supporting each other, you know, the men folks will also do that. One, the first thing is that. The second thing is, let us take the initiative and believe that we can do it. 90% of the time, this is what happens, that if I'm comfortable, if I'm good, you just prefer to stay in that box. You don't want to, challenge yourself and come out of the box. So that is what I would want to tell every woman is, if you want to do it, you definitely can do it. You just have to shatter that box and come out.
Yeah.
You it is absolutely you who has to take the initiative. But once you take that initiative and you're going on that line, you're going forth, you're focused and you're doing it, people the people will start supporting you. Why? Because uh, the fragrance of the flower, this is what my grandma used to say, that the people outside get the fragrance of the flower more than who are sitting closer to the flower.
Hmm.
So people outside would get the fragrance of the sandalwood, of the flower first. So they would come and say, hey, your daughter is doing so well. Your daughter-in-law is doing so well. You know what? This is amazing.
Yeah.
She's doing something too good. And then they'll realize, oh yeah, really? She's doing so good? And then they would want to support you.
Hmm.
Until then, it's always that uh, you're just the wall and the flower.
Yeah. And one
The flower on the wall.
additional, yeah. And as a mother, as the the leader of the woman leader of the family, right? There is the sense of like the sense of responsibility that you took on when you said you took a career break. You decided that, okay, it's time for me to focus on my child. And then the the transition from there and bounce back into what you want to do and do some, uh, so this is also the challenges, or I wouldn't call these challenges, right? Because it's a different journey, right?
Yeah.
So recently I did a solo trip to the Northeast, and I saw the tribal women there. They have a very peculiar way of tying the child to their back. Okay,
Hmm.
infant, the baby is tied to their back, and the mother is working in the shop. She's making food for the customers, and the baby is there, and she's talking to the baby. Okay,
Yeah.
and I was very surprised with that, and I said, wow, you're managing the baby and doing all this. And the way she's tied the baby, that she doesn't, her hands are free. Okay, she doesn't have to
Yes.
hold the baby. And the baby it feels the warmth and everything. And then somebody pointed out at that we are in the country where Rani Lakshmibai took the baby on her back, and she fought in the battlefield. She's, when Rani Lakshmibai can fight in the battlefield, why can't our women cook here in this one? That's the um, that's the sense of the ownership, right? She took up that,
Mm.
like, I'm not going to be just sitting here because I need to take care. I'm not going to be tied by that, but rather take that step. And you've done that as well. You're in your life where you took up the challenge. And for the first time, I'm hearing that, like, a mother, to understand her child better, went on and did a master's in psychology. This
Yes.
is this is like taking it to the to the next level. That's the dedication to motherhood.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I would like to segue a little bit over here, and thank you.
Yes.
And I truly appreciate you for sharing the kind words of appreciation. I would also want to say that um, the lady was holding on to the child and taking care of. So here, I think even the men folk can come forth, where it's not the responsibility of the mother always to take care of the child.
yeah,
it's your parents. So it's the responsibility of the father and the mother to take care of the child. You know? So I understand that the man is busy through the days working, but he can still remove time to um, to be there for the child and allow the wife to focus on her work as well. You know, so um, what I'm trying to say here is it's not taking care of the child is not the responsibility of only the mother. It is a shared responsibility. So if the mother is working and the father is working, both of them should put forth ample time for the child, for the betterment, for the growth of the child. That is
yeah,
also equally important.
yeah, yeah. The responsibility is on both.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes, yes.
Yeah. So, Geeta, now let's take a moment to reflect on your journey here, right? When from that from the earlier job that you had, where you were not comfortable, you're feeling claustrophobic, to the successful career that you have now, and authoring international best-selling books. When you look at this journey, who would you like to give credit to for your success?
That's a tricky question, actually. Such a
Why is it tricky?
because see, it's like when you're receiving an award, the Filmfare Awards, that you wanted to thank everybody uh, from like family to everybody. So it's like, what? I want to thank everybody. Yes, I do want to thank everybody who have been on the path in the journey. But 90% of the work that has been put forth was put forth by me, and it was. I'm not saying it because uh, I'm being pompous, but I'm being very genuine and honest. Because unless and until you put the effort, nothing's going to happen for you. It's as simple as saying that I will try doing things. So trying never happens. You take action, you do it. That's when it happens. Like if I'm going to hold this pen here, I'm holding this pen here and I'm keeping it here, over here. I'm saying that I'm trying to pick the pen. I'm trying to pick the pen. I'm trying to pick it. Is it coming to my hand? It's like a genie. It's coming to my hand. No, it won't, because unless and until I pick the pen, it's not gonna come in my hand. So it's as simple as that. So uh, so that's the reason I said it's a tricky question, because
Mm.
uh, we need to own the actions, and whatever repercussions, whatever difficulties, whatever um, as I said, if it's the success, as you mentioned to me, if it's a success or a failure, everything is part of it. And I've had my own failures. I don't say that everything was all rosy. There have been a lot of ups and downs. I had to leave my career, full-fledged career here in India, and then move to the US in 2011 when my husband moved there. So we moved to the US, and I had to start all over from scratch. And in
Mm.
spite of having a decade of experience, I was considered a zero level experience over there, because it's not in the US. You have your experience in India. So it's a completely
Yeah.
different country. This is a completely different country. So I had to relearn, I had to work from ground bottom level, start from scratch. And by God's grace, I did get some opportunities. I did not get that many opportunities. There were questions like, um, I was okay to start at a clerical level, but then they were like, you were far too overqualified and far too experienced. And then if I go for an experience, I said, you don't have experience in this country. So these are
Yeah.
the challenges that even I have had, and uh, as a soft skills person, in a sense, as a soft skills professional, a training and development, learning and development professional, um, you don't have that many opportunities as compared to a software professional. So the challenges were because your spoken skills. So you are an Indian, your accent, your everything is different. we don't understand you. So you speak so fast, we don't understand you.
Mm.
So I had to unlearn my accent, unlearn my Indianness, and learn the American way of speaking, and incorporated the accent. Incorporated. I started my own gratitude radio show to put myself up there, so that and give people more opportunities to speak, so that if I didn't get that opportunity, so let me give somebody the opportunity to speak. So that's how I started the radio show. So to
Mm.
help people, and that helped me also along the way. You know, so I had the opportunity to. I was invited to as a women's for the Women's Business Month in an internet TV, and I was a 15-minute documentary movie was filmed on my work. So complete. They covered my clients. They covered my radio show. I do. I have been doing a gratitude walk, more like a team building walk in trails. So they came over and covered the whole walk, and it's on revolutionary profitability paradigm TV in
Mm.
Atlanta, Georgia. It's these opportunities came to me because I was there at the right time, and
Yeah.
uh, I put my foot forward, and I'm always grateful for all the different opportunities that came my way as a
Yeah.
blessing.
Yeah. Very, very rightly said. I want to, repeat what you just said here. Put your, right foot forward and be ready. Opportunities do come, but then when you put yourself in that position and take advantage of those opportunities, that only then things happen. So
Yeah,
you have to step up and take it, and grab those opportunities.
yeah, and take actions every time.
Take actions. Yeah, yeah. Um, when you look back now, like, are there any specific mistakes that come to your mind that that you would advise the people who are starting now? Any mistakes that you did that you would advise people to avoid?
There are plenty of them. So it's like, again, I would say that these are all stepping stones. So you do mistakes to learn from them. Only thing, we try not to repeat them as much as possible, because there have been scenarios where you meet the right kind of people, and then sometimes you are so overwhelmed, or you are so uh, booked with various work, that you may lose out on that opportunity. you know or there might be at times that you don't meet the right kind of people, and when you don't meet the right kind of people, then again it's a setback for you, because you pulled into something which you shouldn't, or you don't want to get into, and then you take a step back. So there are a lot of things. Then you need to take care of your health as well, as being a solopreneur, or being a women entrepreneur as such. You're taking care of your family, you're taking care of your work, you have various other responsibilities. So so uh, like like um, I've always been philanthropic, so I've invested a lot of my time in returning back to the society. So, so all these things really help you to understand that you are not just one person, you are an extension of everything around you. And that, we are just a small speck in the whole universe, isn't it? So
Yeah.
that makes you very humble, and I would say that don't worry about mistakes. We do Mistakes do happen, and it's okay to commit the mistakes. It's perfectly all right. My mistakes would give me the learnings, but many times they may not be the same for you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So even if we uh, we feel that those are the mistakes, hindsight, you will feel that, you know what, good that happened, because that's why today you are what you are today. You know?
Right. It gives you the way, those mistakes pave the way for you to move forward. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So, a couple of like 3 to 4 years back, I had a foot injury, and I had a very bad ligament tear, and that really put me back. And in the sense that I wasn't even able to walk. I wasn't able to walk for 5 minutes, and I used to get into um, very bad pain. It was something that I couldn't even fathom. So I used to sit and watch comedy movies so that I wouldn't focus on that pain. So it was that bad, right?
Mm.
So in hindsight, that happened. Yes, that was a difficult moment, but um, that also gave me my family. How much they care for me. I understood that better. um, I was working from home even before COVID. I'm talking about 4 years back. So I was
Yeah.
working from home and online. I was doing my interviews, shows, and people used to support me on LinkedIn, and there were clients who came over to my place to conduct our meetings. They were so kind enough to understand, and so many things happened. I could focus on my music because that helped me to move my thoughts from that pain. So I focus on my music more. So there's so many good things that happen because of that. So if I keep thinking that, you know what, I had that pain and that's what really pulled me down, then I wouldn't have been able to do all these things. I wouldn't have been able to realize all these things. So if I would have thought that, you know what, I sprained my foot, I twisted, I went for a run and this happened, so I wouldn't go for my run anymore, then that's not the learning, right?
True. Yeah.
So that was a
Absolutely.
mistake, yes, but then
Yeah.
what is your learning? What did you gain out of that,
Mm.
right? So um, I have been a marathon runner. I've run half marathons, Sachin.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So yeah. So if I sit down and if I say that I'm not going to run anymore because I had this sprain and it led to a ligament tear, then that is not my learning at all. So now today I have joined back another running group back in India. Um, it's in national park, and I go
Mm.
for my workouts, I go for my run, and I'm back to, by God's grace, back to everything that I've been doing prior to my foot injury, and that's a blessing, right?
Wow.
So that's a learning that I would uh, wanted to share with your audience today.
Yeah. Wow. Geeta, there are so many different things that you do, things that you've learned, and what you're doing as you're an author, you're a business coach, you're a leadership coach. So let's one final question as we wrap up here. People who can, who can benefit from the services that you offer at Gratitude Leadership, what's the best way to reach out to you? How can people connect with you?
Surely. You can reach out to me on Geetha at gratitudeleadership.com. It's my email ID, GEETHA at gratitudeleadership.com. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Geetha Krishnan Inspires is my LinkedIn. You can just go on LinkedIn.
Great. I will include the links to your email ID and your LinkedIn profile and in the show notes so people can reach out to you. Geeta, thank you so much for taking out time and sharing your journey and having this conversation. This was such a fantastic hour, connecting with you. It was brilliant. Thank you so much.
Likewise, Sachin, thank you so much. It's truly an honor talking with you and sharing a little bit of whatever 2 cents that I could share on your show. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Geetha. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that was Geetha Krishnan, the founder of Gratitude Leadership and the author of international bestsellers like Courage Under Siege and Journey to the Stage, and international leadership coach certified by Tony Robbins, and creator and the host of Gratitude Radio live show. And you've been listening to Be Your Own Boss.